About 10 years ago, I started weightlifting, and my coach suggested that I do a fitness competition because I was getting strong really fast and I could show off my new muscles on stage in a bikini. The training was tough. I wasn't sure about the diet aspect of it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you information about what a fitness competition diet entails. It's not just for women, it's for men too. It's to get really lean. When you see the people on stage and they're ripped and they just look like absolute perfection, and the downsides of the diet, and a diet that's actually better at getting you super lean, not just pre-competition and during competition, but year-round. Fitness competition diet, sometimes they'll call it like a bikini diet or a bodybuilding diet. These are high protein diets. They're very low in carbohydrates, and how it works is that you hire a coach who trains clients and has them do competitions, and the girls or the men, the clients, they win these competitions. You don't want someone who doesn't win. And the people look amazing on stage. They're lean, they have curves, and they're strong. The diets are usually for a specified period of time, 4 months, sometimes longer, depending on how much weight the person has to lose. And the goal is you hire a coach, and that coach will customize the program. Because I'm tiny, all my coaches said that the best competition for me to enter would be a bikini competition. You know, I don't have big, huge muscles. I'm very tiny. And I tried at least 4 different competition diets from 4 different coaches, but they all had the same themes. It was high protein, low or lower carbohydrates, and low added fat. So you could have oil, but it was no more than something like 1 tablespoon of oil a day. You can have nuts, but no more than 7 nuts a day. And the calorie ranges that they gave me, actually I think I tried 5 different ones, would range from 1,400 calories a day to 1,800 calories a day. So that's pretty far for someone who's really tiny like me. I am 5 feet tall, and when I tried the 1,400 calorie diet, I was starving. I had no energy. I was super grumpy, and all of them, they really reduced the carbohydrates, because you can't have high protein and high carb. You're going to get fat. You got to take the calories from one of those sections, so you got to reduce one of them, so they take out the carbohydrates, which means that you'll lose a lot of water, which will show on the scale, and you'll look leaner, but you'll still have the fat. Then you add all the cardio and the workouts, and you have to weigh all your proteins. And it's a lot of the times they have tilapia or baked chicken. Again, it depends on the coach. And then the carbs would be something like rice or quinoa. And it's very structured, it's very rigid, and you can't go off on this except for maybe on a cheat meal once a week if your coach allows it. And they do have you eat greens, and usually they don't. Sometimes they'll let you have a little bit of sweet potato, but again, that's a high carbohydrate food. It depends on your coach. And then they'll have maybe a fruit smoothie, but it's like 1 or maybe a half a banana. And they have you have a lot of protein. A lot of times they'll encourage whey protein powder. And that's really hard on the stomach, and that dairy protein is horrible for your body. It triggers autoimmune disease and it makes cancer grow, but anyways, I didn't do the whey protein, but I did collagen protein, which is from a cow, but at least it's not the dairy part of the cow. The coaches are just not a fan of fruit, so some of them just only allow you to have a couple berries a day. So here's an example of a breakfast would be a whey protein powder smoothie with half a banana, some unsweetened low-fat almond milk, and that's it. And then you do your cardio for however long your coach says, usually 30 minutes, and then you do weight training for an hour. And then you do some cardio for about 15 minutes. And then your lunch would be, let's say, tilapia with a big plate of tilapia and about a half a cup of rice and maybe some green beans. And then for dinner, then you actually midday, you probably have another protein powder drink, but probably just the whey protein and almond milk and no fruit. And then for dinner, it would be something like baked chicken, asparagus, rice again, and maybe a side salad. And then at night, it would be another drink with protein powder. And sometimes the coaches to have their clients eat 6 times a day. So these are small, miserable meals all day long. And some of the guys, they have to eat so many calories because they're lifting so much weight. They have to wake up in the middle of the night to chug a smoothie. But so anyways, I tried all these different plans and I didn't lose weight. I was grumpy. I felt absolutely horrible. And my workouts sucked because my energy was just crap. I had so much more energy on my own diet, but I was eating too much fat. I wasn't eating the leaner meats. I wasn't eating the baked chicken. I would stir fry my chicken in oil. And so I really could not comply with any of these diets except for one. So this one coach, he had all these fitness competitors and his girls were absolutely gorgeous and they won competitions and they just looked amazing on stage and they all seemed really happy and they loved his plan. So I said, all right, I'll try it. So he gives me my diet and mine was 1,800 calories a day. And I was like, whoa, like that's great. How the heck am I gonna lose weight on eating more calories? And he said, well, because I'm upping your protein. And I said, but that's still calories. So he was giving me more meat to eat, basically. So a lot of them, they'll say you can eat 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you are 100 pounds, which I was at the time, they would say, okay, you need to eat a minimum of 100 grams of protein total. So if you're eating quinoa and rice, that still has protein in it. So, and then the protein powder. So it's just total grams of protein per day. And a lot of them, they want you to eat more. They want you to have 1.5 times. So if you're 100 pounds, that would be 150 grams of protein a day. This is getting to be extreme. But he said, no, I want you to eat 175, so or 1.75. So that means I would have had 175 grams of protein per day. And I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. What can I eat? He says, you can eat steak, but it needs to be a lean steak. And you can eat as much of turkey as you want. It has to be lean turkey. So everything had to be skinless, baked, steamed, really boring. You could have it grilled if you want. And so I was eating a lot of steak and I was weighing it and I was gaining more and more weight. And he says, don't worry, you'll drop it. It's just water weight. And I'm thinking, I'm not eating very many carbs. And I was eating something like 4 ounces of a lean steak a day. I had tilapia and some other animal proteins as well, but I kept gaining weight. And by the time the competition was coming up, I said, there's no way. I mean, I was looking terrible. I was gaining a belly. My butt looked fantastic. It was nice and big, but I was just gaining too much weight, so I dropped that altogether. And so those competition diets where a lot of people do well, but they're not sustainable. You can't do a competition diet and eat it all the time. I mean, some people do year round, but it is so unhealthy. It's way too much protein. It's way too much fat. They say it's a low fat diet, but all animal protein has a lot of fat in it. So that's why they have to cut the carbs. And so a lot of people, they get so vascular and lean, and which is great for on stage, but year round that's super unhealthy. And they all recommend that people take a ton of supplements because it's so nutrient poor. There isn't enough vitamins or minerals to sustain you, otherwise you'll get sick. And a lot of times people get really sick on these diets. They'll end up with all these colds, they're training too much, they're stressed, but it's really about the food that's making them sick. Yes, it's better than the standard American diet for sure, because there's no processed foods, there's no cookies and cakes and ice cream, and there's no deep fried food. So that is good. That is a benefit. But taking out all the healthy foods, like good portions of fruit and the high carbohydrate vegetables like squashes, that's not really a high carb vegetable, but sweet potatoes, yellow potatoes, all types of potatoes, and beans. They don't recommend beans because a lot of people have such poor guts from eating all that crappy food that their unhealthy gut bacteria can't handle the healthy beans. So they don't have beans in their diet, which is good and healthy and gives you energy. I entered in all the foods into this app called Chronometer, which would be typical for someone my size, around 100 pounds. It's 1,367 calories per day, and you could see the macronutrients, the carbs, the protein, and the fat. And look at the fat. Look how high that fat is. And here I'm going to show you the breakdown and the fat. And let's just scoot over here. Okay, so it shows you the breakdown of the fat. The highest concentration of fat is the olive oil, even though it was only 1 tablespoon. So that's why I don't eat any oil at all whatsoever. And I don't eat whey protein, but I just put it in there so people could see that it does have some fat in it. And every little bit of fat really does add up extremely quickly. And look at that. I mean, 40 grams of fat, you really should have no more than 30 per day. And you could see this diet is devoid of many, many nutrients. And that is why they require or suggest highly that you take all these different vitamins along with taking this diet. I mean, if you have a really good diet, you only need a couple supplements. You don't need a whole ton of them. The protein in this scenario is just under 150, which is very typical, what a lot of trainers would suggest. The carbs are actually not bad. They're not terribly low. It's under 100 net grams of carbohydrates. So it's not extremely low, but it's too low for health for sure. 40 grams of fat equals 360 calories. Take the number of grams by 9 to get the number of calories. So 46% of the calories in this high protein diet are coming from fat. This shows that diets high in, quote, lean animal protein are very high in fat. Fats should max out at 10% of your diet, not 46%. Fats are more than double the calories of carbohydrates, which is why you'll lose weight by upping the carbs and lowering fat and animal protein. When I was training at the gym, there's something that was so gross. Was protein farts. All those people ate so much protein and they were all constipated, and so everyone was like farting like crazy. It was nasty. It's super common, you know, you're not eating enough carbohydrates, so you're not eating enough fiber, and so your gut is messed up, you feel awful. A misconception is that those beautiful people at the gym are extremely happy, they love the way they look, and that's why they're doing their poses and showing off on stage. But a lot of those people, they are very self-conscious, they're perfectionists, they have body dysmorphia, and a lot of that is due to seeing all these perfect people at the gym. Well, they're not perfect. They have breast implants, they've had liposuction and all these treatments done to them. So they're not natural at all. And then the diets that they're on, they are not healthy, and they're only good for a certain period of time. So people want this look that they see on stage 24/7. It's just not going to happen in real life. So they have this vision of how they're supposed to look, and they want to look like they did on stage all the time. So they're never happy. And that's what body dysmorphia is where they think they look a certain way when they don't look a certain way. So they think they look fat, but in reality, they're not. They look great. And so they're always nitpicking at themselves, and all they can think about and all they focus on is what they're eating and going to the gym. And I was done with that. So I never did the fitness competition, and I stopped going to the gym. That was just a toxic environment. I read health books all the time, like typically about one a week. And I read that a high carbohydrate diet that's very, very low in fat and low in protein, 10% protein, 10% fat, and 80% from carbohydrates, not only gets you extremely lean, but you'll get a ton of energy and better health. And I thought, oh, sign me up. Oh, I love fruit smoothies, you know, the bigger the better. I mean, I used to drink these small little tiny smoothies that I was so sad that I was done drinking them in 30 seconds. So now I can make a smoothie bowl, like a big bowl, fill it up, and I have to sit down and I just eat it with a spoon because it takes so long. And I love carbohydrates, potatoes, sign me up. And it's no animal products. So I was eating a bunch of chicken and fish and steak, none of that. It's vegan. And I thought that's okay. I love beans, and I'll definitely have my fries, my sweet potato fries without oil. So there's no oil allowed in the diet. And so I've been eating this way for a little over a year. I lost all the weight, super easy. And this is me, okay? Not even sucking in. So I eat a high carbohydrate diet, low protein, very low in fat, and I have tons of energy. I can exercise all day long and lift weights, and I am lean 24/7. So that is great because you're healthy, you're not getting sick, you don't want a diet that's gonna make you sick. Why, if you can have a diet that makes you lean and sick or lean and well, right? So anyways, so that is all I wanted to share, is that you can get lean by eating carbs, and carbs are not the enemy. It's actually fat. Fat is high in animal products, animal protein, and that's what makes us sick and is what makes us fat. So if you have any questions, write to me below, and eat those healthy carbs. Hope to see you soon.